So I think the NFL had a strategic plan. They decided if we're going to do a bunch of suspensions, let's just all knock it out in one hit right before the 4th of July weekend, and then everybody just kind of goes on with their lives and prepares for travel and traffic and fireworks and hot dogs and booze and all the other fun stuff that comes along with it. On top of the gambling suspensions, LaVar, Cam Robinson of the Jaguars, they announced his 4-game suspension for a PED violation. And it is kind of funny how this sort of just, whatever, PED, big deal. He's a starter. He's like a pretty important part of a playoff team. In any other sport, a PED violation would be looked at as a significant event. In the NFL, for some reason, whatever. He'll be back in 4 games. We're fine. What's that about? Why is the NFL looked at differently?
I just think because that is something that has always been a part of football and a part of sports. And so when you're talking about there was a time where it seemed like it was kind of like it was legal. You know what I mean? Like you saw the Lau Alzados and those type of guys that, most of these guys were on PEDs.
It's almost glorified.
So to me, I think people are like, nobody's comfortable talking about smoking weed. Like that's becoming something that's a little bit more acceptable because of how society and lawmakers are relaxing their approach to it, right? But in general, people will talk about PEDs because there's such a gray area in between performance enhancing drugs that you pop hot for and are in violation versus, PEDs that are legal, and that you're able to use. So I think it's been more of a conversation for so long that I think that people have actually gotten comfortable with, even if it's like, okay, all right, they pop for PEDs. Like, okay, like if somebody can feel confident enough to say, I popped for PEDs because I was trying to have a kid. I popped for PEDs because I was using a certain type of shampoo. Like, I just think that people are more desensitized to it than anything else. Like gambling, this is new. It's new territory and it's new conversational points. But PEDs, that's an age-old conversation.
Yeah, and it's like the other one is recovering from injuries, which, by the way, for people out there, like that is a real thing. Like there's a reason why Conor McGregor still hasn't fought, because he's recovering from a broken leg, and part of he left the testing pool. And people are like, well, why would he leave the testing pool? Is he done fighting? And the speculation is he left the testing pool.
Because he's using PEDs to heal up.
Because he's going to get on the gas because it helps you heal faster. And that's been proven in a lot of cases. And so, now he missed his window, so he may not fight.
Get back into better shape, too.
Yes. Like, look,
you get back in better shape and then you cycle yourself off.
Yeah, the UFC tried this out a few years ago. They allowed fighters to use TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. And so all of a sudden these fighters like Vitor Belfort, who was well advanced, beyond his prime, showed back up and was jacked. He was full of gas. I mean, it was spilling out of his ears, and he was knocking people out. And then the UFC realized that, they talked with, the testing agencies and realized, yeah, maybe this was not a great idea. And then those guys came back and they shrunk. They literally were a fraction of the size that they were when they were on the TRT. So, yeah, there are some of this stuff I can understand why, okay, it gives you a clear advantage. But I do think it's vilified to a certain extent where people just assume, man, all you got to do is take PEDs and you're going to be better than everybody else, which isn't exactly the case in a lot of cases.
I've never seen a steroid hit a home run. I've never seen a steroid take a handoff. I've never seen a steroid tackle a person. I've never seen a steroid, do any of these things that take skill. Now, where I will say you may get, like, if you've ever touched somebody who uses like performance enhancing drugs, there's a very different feel to them. Like I remember I arm wrestled somebody who was on the gas. That S felt different, man.
Who was it?
There's a different. It doesn't matter.
Come on.
It's a different type of strength. It's a different type of feel. It doesn't. It doesn't feel natural. Like that's the best way of explaining it. It doesn't feel natural. You know what's crazy? I've never been one to use PEDs when I played ball. And I always felt like people that told me, like the furthest I went was using Metrex, which was the creatine, where I was trying to put more weight on in my senior year of high school. That was as far as I ever had went with or gone with using any type of supplements or whatever. And then I come to find out, like many years after I was removed from the game, that like people were really like, when people say they invest a ton of money into their bodies and how their bodies heal and how they get back ready for the season and how they prepare and condition and stuff like that. And I started realizing that using certain, chemists and doctors and different things like that was the reason why these guys have been playing at such a different level than most other people. I will say, when somebody has those skills, while I'll say a steroid or performance enhancer never did the skill work, you take somebody who's putting in that skill work and has that ability and that talent, and you add that is an unfair advantage. It 100% is an unfair advantage.
Okay. So we need to get to
That's what I will say.
We got to get to the bottom of this. This is obviously, with it being 4th of July weekend, if everybody's going to celebrate that slob Joey Chestnut for shoving hot dogs in his mouth, we decided we're going to make our own little impromptu game show here. It's time for the first ever Can We Guess the Name of the person that LaVar Arrington arm wrestled who was on the gas. All right, so let's take it away.
But he wasn't a football player.
Okay, well, that kind of kills the later part of the game.
It wasn't a player. Sorry.
Okay, was it a coach?
Nope. I bet you can't guess what his line of work was.
Okay, that'll work. So let's go ahead and readjust. Can we start the game show over again? It's time for the first ever edition of Can You Guess What Line of Work the guy who LaVar Arrington arm wrestled, who happened to also be on the gas, was in? And we take it away. I'm going to go adult film star.
Nope.
Like, I feel like...
You want to try?
I'm going to say a waiter.
Definitely not.
Nope.
All right, so it's not an adult film star, not a restaurant person. All right, one last guess here. God, I want to go something that's going to make sense. When you think, okay.
I mean, if you use common sense, you should be in a different, like, you should be in an area, like, think about it. I'm a big dude. I am a big dude. I arm wrestled this guy, and he made my arm look like a golf ball.
Okay, I think I got it. Or Eddie Garcia, you want to take a guess at this?
Yeah, I'm going to go professional wrestler.
That's a close one. It was close.
All right, I think I've got it. Bodybuilder.
That's a close one.
Damn. All right, what is it? We lose.
Personal security.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Well, I mean, listen, if you're doing personal security, I mean, you look after somebody for a few hours at night. During the day, all I'd be doing is lifting weights, and I would be snorting PEDs. Like, that's all I would do. Like,
and that's what they do.
And they're not getting tested. Who cares? Like, that's fully clear.
They are yoked up.
They all wear polo shirts that are way too small.
No, they don't. They don't wear
not
polos.
Even that?
They wear tees.
Oh, man. Is it
and
like...
They are. Hey, bro, that junk felt like something... Like, you know what? It would have had to have been like the equivalent of arm wrestling a leg. If you could arm wrestle with your leg. Think about it that way.
Yeah.
If that gives you any type of thought on, and it's funny because I actually arm wrestled Snoop Dogg's private security too, but his arm was literally just it was too long. Like I couldn't even do a fair arm wrestling match with him because he was so big, and he was like, his arms were so long that when we put our arms down to arm wrestle, his arm was like a entire like forearm longer than mine.
Yeah, that's a problem.
You know what I mean? So yeah, no leverage, bruh.
Yeah.
And his hand engulfed my hand too. Like, asking me why I did this, I just always like to see how I measured up against guys that were like big and strong. But the other dude that I'm talking about, hey, bruh, like, that's a different type of feeling when you all the way gassed up, bruh. It's different. It's just different.
Sounds fun.
And you feel it. No, it ain't fun.
It
was kind of scary. I thought that my bicep was going to explode, to be honest, because I didn't want to quit, but I knew I couldn't win.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Heart
so
of a champion. That's what I'm talking about.